Hey everyone, welcome to the reading for today. We're going to see what you all need to know right now. It's a general reading, okay? It could be past, present, or future for you. You're going to know best how it resonates and where it fits on your timeline, all right? So let's see what your spirit guides need you to know today and your guardian angel. What's going on right now in the collective? Temperance, healing, the Seven of Swords, the Knight of Cups, and the Five of Cups. Man, I feel like someone feels really, really sorry for something, all right? The Moon, like somebody here is really sad. Lots of grief, sadness. The Moon, deep, deep sorrow. I gotta be honest, there could be like, this does not have to be you, collective. I don't even know if it's really you, but it's someone that could feel some sort of shame, okay? And they want to apologize, or they want to, I don't know. Temperance, this is for healing, okay? This is for someone's balance, to walk a balanced, tempered path, right? Yeah, all right. And this has to do with some sort of lies, deception, manipulation. Okay, let's see what this is. Why is temperance here? The Two of Pentacles in reverse and the Seven of Swords. Somebody being manipulative, lying, deceptive, stealing something. The Two of Pentacles reverse. Something cannot be healed. Something cannot be balanced out. It can't be seen in a different way. Right. And that's where Temperance Angel comes in. Okay. Because things can still be healed and they can be transmuted in a way. Right. Even if something that happened, like some sort of lies, deception, that cannot be like taken back, or that can't be justified in a way. It's giving me like something that was done was so deliberate and so manipulative and so conniving that it cannot be like swept under the rug, or you can't take this one thing and make it something else, okay? It can't be excused away, but there's still a way to heal it, right? So we'll see what that is. What's the Seven of Swords? The Fool in reverse. Strength and the World in reverse. Something not closing out. Yeah, as it's almost like as long as some sort of lies haven't... Did you see the fruit fly? Where'd it go? As long as some sort of lying and deception hasn't closed out, there can't be a new beginning. Or somebody is nervous about taking some sort of leap of faith and trusting maybe the divine, because it would require a lot of strength. Or something is here to make someone stronger, okay? What's the Knight of Cups? The Five of Pentacles. Yeah, leaving someone out in the cold. Abandoning someone. Leaving someone in lack or bad health or some sort of way. The Two of Swords. Yeah, somebody didn't see something here, or they didn't have clarity in a situation. It's like, I didn't know, I didn't realize, I didn't see it. What's the Five of Cups? The Queen of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. Yeah, someone here is thinking a lot. I don't know if they're thinking about a Queen of Pentacles, or is the Queen of Pentacles thinking a lot, okay? But there is like deep sadness here. Tell me more about this Seven of Swords, please. the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Cups. Yeah, so it's going to have to do with a new beginning in love, or a Queen of Swords offering someone a cup in some sort of way for healing, I feel like. Okay, or I mean, it's giving me like extending kindness to someone or extending love to someone. All right. This is giving me like somebody that is really going through it emotionally. Okay. I don't think this is you, collective. I think this is someone in your energy in some sort of way, but they're really going through it emotionally. And I feel like this person feels like they don't deserve forgiveness, or they don't, something that they did, it cannot be like explained away. Like, it feels like someone being very hard on themselves in a way. Okay. But honestly, I don't feel like this person is someone with no conscience. I gotta be honest. Okay. I don't think this person is someone that doesn't have a conscience, that doesn't feel like remorse for things. I feel like they were just misguided or misled in a way, and they didn't know any better, okay? They just didn't know. Two of Swords. And I do feel like someone is being very, very hard on themselves. So it does feel like, in the spirit of like healing and temperance, extending kindness to this person is what is needed in the situation, or they should accept it, okay? Or they shouldn't, it feels like spirit or a guardian angel or an angel watching over them is trying to tell this person, like, this can be healed, or this can be, transmuted in a way. And then this person is like, no, what I did is unforgivable. I can't accept. It's very hard. Someone's being very hard on themselves, okay? But again, somebody is in regret. So it's like, this person is not a monster. I don't feel that at all. They're not someone who does things and then doesn't feel bad about it afterwards. Like, they do. I feel like that's why Spirit is extending this to them. It's like, it's a mistake. Like, somebody made a mistake. I feel like someone made a mistake, okay? Tell me more about that. And they don't have to sit there and like wallow on that mistake for the rest of their life. Like, they, like something where for the rest of their life they're going to think about it and feel so terrible for the mistake that they made. Because honestly, people with no conscience or no guilt or no remorse, or people that are just cold-hearted, they don't do that. They do not think about mistakes and feel a lot of guilt and remorse for it, okay? They can just kind of brush it off. But I don't feel that here, and that's why Spirit's like, look, you can heal this. You can. Oh man, all right. This person, someone here is definitely losing faith, okay? Or they've lost hope, or they feel like they can't be healed, or they feel like they can't heal this. They don't have faith. Someone here doesn't have faith, and they don't have hope for something. Why is this person being so, you want to know what it's giving me? Like someone that is self-deprecating. Self-deprecating. Like, I can't heal this. I can't do better. I'm just, like, why would God even have faith in me? Like, look at what I did. Okay. Tell me more about that. The sun. This person needs to find back to the light, okay? They need to find back to the sun, or the sun is here around them. And I feel like the sun in this sense is like God. It is around them. It is trying to show them something here. Where did this start? I just heard the phrase, where did this start? Ooh, this is, okay, this reading is going to get deep, guys. It's going to be deep. Because I feel like Spirit is trying to show something to this person about themselves. And it could be the reason why they were so confused for so long, or they stayed very stubborn in their perspective about something. Why they couldn't like release a certain viewpoint that they had about you or about a situation. And it could be because, ooh, why am I getting childhood here? Hold on. I don't know if we're going to go that deep, but I'm kind of getting someone that there must be some sort of memories in the past, like core memories in the past of making mistakes, okay, where making a mistake felt so burdensome for this person, like being wrong about something felt so burdensome for them that that's like an emotion that they're having a really hard time with. Okay, let's see. What is this about? The Ace of Swords and the Lovers. Some sort of truth and clarity here when it comes to a relationship, a partnership, a connection of some sorts. The Moon. This is subconscious. Oh no, Spirit's about to pull something out of the subconscious for someone. Okay. Why they get this way, this feeling of demotivated, self-deprecating, like they can't move forward. They can't move past a mistake, or they feel defeated in a way. They feel so defeated. Why does this person feel this sort of a reaction when they make a mistake? Because of Three of Cups reverse, third parties, or bad friends, bullying, betrayal, ultimate betrayal. Painful words, bullying. Okay, something about this person's past, all right? There's something here about this. Even could be about like other people not letting this person forget certain mistakes. It's like someone that wants to, they see the error in their ways, they want to do better, but then there's people around them that always bring up the past mistake, or something about like hurting someone with words, or betraying some, or maybe this person betrayed someone in the past. It's kind of making me feel like someone here doesn't like necessarily looking at their mistakes because of the shame or the guilt that comes up for them. But I feel like the hindrance there is that this person doesn't see the opportunity to change that about themselves so that they can release the guilt of the past. They don't have to carry it around with them, and the shame. They don't have to revisit it and feel bad if it's something that you've changed about yourself, right? Like, let me give an example here really quick, okay? So let's say someone here made a mistake in the past where they stole their friend's shoes. All right, this is just an example. And maybe they got called out for it. Okay, I don't know. So this person, every time they think about the fact that they did that, they feel shame, they feel guilt, they feel bad. And maybe they just kind of avoid situations like that, or they just avoid the person altogether. They don't want to be around that person anymore because every time they see the person, it brings up all these feelings about what they did in the past and they feel so bad. But there's like a pivotal point in your mind, okay? There's like a pivotal mental switch that you can, a switch that you can flip in your brain, okay? When you realize, like, okay, that is something that you did in the past, but you're never going to do that again because you recognize how that made you feel about yourself, right? And that's not the person that you are, and that's not the kind of person you want to be, okay? So you take the guilt and the shame that you feel, and you can switch it around into, you know, I never want to be that way again. I'm never going to be that way again. And I'm going to prove it to myself the rest of my life that I'm not that person. And that was a mistake, yes, but it was something that I learned through, okay? And even if you learn through things like that, mistakes like that, that you know, you're someone at the core of yourself that you don't want to do things like that. You don't want to be like that. You feel guilty about it, okay? But everybody makes mistakes, you know, where you learn something about yourself afterwards, right? Or you learn something about yourself because of the reflection that you do afterwards, okay? Yeah, there's something here with where Spirit wants this person to learn how to take the guilt and the shame and turn it into something else, because that guilt and that shame is what is sitting so deep that they don't want to either look at mistakes that they've made in the past, or they don't now in present day, they also don't want to admit to mistakes, making mistakes, because it would add more shame or guilt to a drawer in the back of the mind that's already like bursting full open because it hasn't been released. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Transmuting, the Magician. Something here has to be transmuted, and it has to be alchemized. Someone has to take the guilt and the shame and the sadness, and they have to turn it into something else. Mentally, it's a mental thing, right? And you can do this mentally. You can process this mentally, because someone here has to, right? Because they're carrying around all these negative emotions with them, and they're not looking at it, okay? But the drawer is in the back of the mind, and it's getting fuller, 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 fuller. And because of that, because of someone avoiding this, every time something comes up where they might have made a mistake, they don't want to admit that something was a mistake, because again, they're like, oh God, if this was a mistake, then it adds another mistake to all the mistakes in the back of my mind. And I have already made so many, and like, oh my God, that drawer is full of guilt and shame. Spirit's like, you don't have to even have that drawer. You can take it out. Look at everything. You know, sit down and really think about what in my life was a mistake that really, you know, sat so deep with me that I'm carrying it around in the back of my mind right now, okay? You know, and really look at it. It's like, okay, so this is what I did in the past, but what did I do after that? Or how did I change after that to make sure that that doesn't happen again? Because I did feel bad about it, right? And if somebody can reflect on that and see that they have changed, then they can release it and say, okay, that was a mistake, but you know, that mistake ended up making me a better person because I looked at it, because I saw how it made me feel about myself. And now I can release that guilt and that shame, because I know now that I am not like that, and I'm never going to be like that again. Okay, but it taught me something, right? Don't tell yourself that you're, or this person, whoever they are, they shouldn't tell themselves that just because they made one mistake, that means that they're going to be this way for the rest of their lives. And this is just how they are. They always mess up. They always let people down. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. So tell me about this Seven of Swords. Because that's also like a self-fulfilling thing, right? Your brain is a powerhouse. And if you're telling yourself all day long, oh, I'm the one, I just can't do anything right. I'm always going to be this way. I'm always going to make mistakes. I can't change. I can't do better. Then that's going to be your reality, right? Because that's what you're telling yourself. Look, like, okay, what I'm getting here is whoever this person is, in case they're watching, I don't know, but there's a study that was done, I think it was like Japanese, I'm not sure, so long ago, but somebody studied different plants and how they respond to negative words, or was it rice? Was it rice? Was it plants? I don't remember. How it responded to negative words and like loving words, right? So if somebody's taking the plant and says to the plant, which is a living organism just like you, right? I hate you, you're ugly, like you suck, you're never going to grow, you're never going to be anything. And then the other plant, or whatever it was, rice, I can't remember what it was that they tested, you know, you're so beautiful, you're amazing, you're going to be a great, beautiful flower one day, right? And they could see how words, just energy affected those organisms, right? So maybe somebody needs to look into that, because I feel like that could help them with how they talk to themselves as well, right? The Three of Cups. Okay, this has to do with somebody speaking to their friends, or something that their friends are telling them. What does that mean? About not working on something anymore. Not rebuilding something, not working on something. What does that mean? The truth coming to light, the arrow. Be lighthearted, finding out things are going to come to light. Have faith. Have faith here. Okay, what does someone need to have faith with? The key. The whip. Something about pain. Something about what hurt someone. And I feel like this is the past, okay? Something from someone's past that really hurt them, or hurting someone else maybe in the past. Feeling, yeah, that must be a feeling that someone has felt before, where they hurt someone. Maybe because in the moment they were careless, or in the moment they, I don't know, didn't think about the other person, right? But the pain of like, or the realization that came afterwards, after hurting someone, and feeling like you can't take it back, feeling like you did something to someone, you can't take it back, that guilt and that shame is like, it's still haunting someone. And that's the key, okay? That's the key here for whoever this person is. Something that they didn't work on, or they didn't work through properly, or they didn't want to look at it. Maybe this could be like a memory where this person didn't want to look at what they did. It was easier to just try and forget about it, because every time they thought about it, it made them feel really bad about themselves. But the key to releasing these emotions is actually looking at them, looking straight at them, okay? Really thinking about what happened, the way that you feel about it, so that you can start to pick it apart in your mind, right? You know, that was a mistake and that was really bad, but that doesn't mean you have to stay that way or be that way or even label yourself that way, right? You can mentally process that emotion. You know, see it like, someone needs to see it like something was a hot stove, okay? Where, you know, maybe in the past they told someone to touch the hot stove, but because they didn't know it was hot. Then someone got burned and now they feel horrible, okay? But they don't have to carry around the guilt and the shame forever. If they look at it and say, that was a horrible mistake, I feel horrible, I feel remorseful, right? And I'm never ever gonna do that again. And then you can release that. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. You know, sometimes you have to forgive yourself and also give yourself a second chance to do it better, okay? To do it better next time, right? No one is perfect. The Ace of Pentacles, an item, an object, the Three of Swords. Someone feels so hurt, heartbroken here. A King of Cups, something about a King of Cups, a home, building something, victory and success, wanting to be right, taking action because somebody thought that they were right or they were doing the right thing, or something about maybe reputation or the way that you're seen by others. Yeah, being someone who, look, okay, what I'm getting here is that this is someone who might believe or might think about themselves that they look better or they appear better if they're someone who never makes mistakes. But honestly, I feel like it's the other way around, where if you are able to look at your mistakes, acknowledge them, process them, and be vulnerable with yourself when it comes to that, that is actually more admirable for most people, okay? So, you know, like if you think about having a role model in life, right? Or if you admire someone a lot, okay? If you try and take yourself out of it and put yourself in a different perspective, right? So let's say you have this role model and this person, they appear to be super competent, very intelligent, always doing the right thing, you know, but then you find out afterwards that they have made a lot of mistakes in the past that they never really took accountability for, or they tried to hide them away, pretend like it didn't happen. You know, that might make you look at them and go, why don't you want to talk about your mistakes, right? Or why are you pretending like none of that ever happened, like you didn't do those things, right? So that's this one energy. And then you have the other energy of like, you know, you have this role model and they speak openly about the mistakes that they've made in the past and how it influenced them, how it changed them, how it made them a better person after realizing and reflecting on what happened and what they did, you know. It's giving me that, where somebody's mind, so somebody might be through trauma, it feels like a trauma response, okay, where somebody through a trauma response is trying to hold on to a certain identity about themselves, right? Because it protects them from having to be vulnerable with themselves. But Spirit wants this person to actually, you know, think about that concept for a second. Okay, you know, what kind of a person do you want to be, or what do you feel like is admirable in someone else, right? And I feel like anyone is going to say that somebody that can look at their mistakes and process through that is going to, you know, have more of an impact maybe than someone who pretends like nothing ever happened or they never did anything wrong. So it's not bad to make mistakes, right? It's really not. Everybody does, okay? Everybody does. I feel like what's important about it is how you deal with it afterwards, right? Because what it's giving me is somebody that might make a mistake and then afterwards say like, oh no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. but they're only saying they didn't do it because of the shame and the guilt. It's not even really like the denial of it, right? Wanting to deny it to other people. It's more about like, no, I didn't do that because I don't want to look at the guilt how guilty it makes me feel. I don't want to look at the shame that comes up when I think about that thing. So when they're saying, no, I didn't do that, it's like self-denial, actually, more than it is denying it to other people, right? Yeah, it feels like someone here wants to take accountability for something, but there's a memory in the past that is blocking it out. So I feel like for this person, whoever they are, they have to go to the beginning of the first memory of the first time they felt this way. Where's the first time that this person felt that way? Where did it begin? Okay. Let's see. Knight of Cups. The Three of Wands, the future. And the Knight of Cups again. The Nine of Cups. Yeah, somebody wants to apologize, but also they want to feel good about themselves, okay? Or this is what Spirit is trying to advise this person, is that they can feel good about themselves, all right? They can. The Ten of Wands, but right now they're carrying this big, big burden with them. The weight of their actions. Yeah, it's like this is like someone asking themselves, how can I feel good about myself when I'm carrying this burden of what I did? The Hanged Man, the Page of Cups, yeah, the Page of Cups and the Hanged Man. It's like this person, something about it being a child. Page of Cups, childhood, Knight of Cups, childhood, or young adult, being a young adult in something, okay? That's where this person is going to have their moment of enlightenment, or that's where they're going to have some sort of an epiphany, maybe, about seeing something from a different perspective. Yeah, it's something about changing the way you see something. This is about inner child healing, or like child healing, okay, childhood wounds, because when you're younger, you don't have the emotional capacity or the mental capacity to really reparent yourself in a way, right? So you'll make a mistake and you'll feel a lot of shame, but because you're a child or you're younger, you internalize it, right? And then it becomes like a trigger point, but it's like so far away because it's so far in the subconscious at that point. Yeah, there's something here that has to be seen from a different perspective in the past, and it has to do with making mistakes, okay? Because once you pull out the weed, this is like a weed. There's a weed growing in someone's mind, okay? And there's a weed that needs to get pulled out of the subconscious here. And that'll help with processing all other mistakes that came after that one, because someone's reaction here to the mistakes they make, it all stems from the beginning, the very first weed that was planted in the mind. Death in reverse. That's why there is no transformation, or that's why somebody feels like they can't change. The Emperor. That's why the Emperor feels like they can't change. The King of Swords. Okay? Yeah. Like, okay, let's say you're a child, right? And you forgot your backpack at school. Okay, it's just an example, but your parents make you feel so horrible for this mistake that you made, okay? It's like, how could you do this? You're so dumb. You forgot this. Why did you do that? And they make you feel so horrible for this mistake. And then every single time you make a mistake after that, where it wasn't, you didn't mean to do it, okay? You didn't think about it at the time. It was really a mistake, okay? But you always have this reaction of like, oh God, you make a mistake. You're so this, you're so that. When you're an adult and then you make mistakes, you're still reacting to that very first situation where you make a mistake and you go, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I always do this, like I just can't get it right. But when you think about it and you go back to the past and you revisit that and you look at the way that someone treated you when you made a mistake or the way that you felt about yourself, right? It's like, that can happen. Kids can forget their backpack at school, right? That doesn't mean you're stupid, you're this, you're that, you always do this, what's wrong with you? Doesn't mean any of that, right? Yeah, someone has to reshape that core memory. That things can happen, and sometimes you don't do it on purpose, okay? Maybe you were just confused on that day. Maybe you just had a lot to do on that day. You were just doing other things on that day. You were a child, or you just, you forgot, right? Mistakes happen, okay? The question in this situation is, where's all the negative self-talk coming from, right? Because then all of a sudden you're very focused on other people's reactions, right? It's like, oh no, how are they going to react when they find out I made this mistake? Okay, so now you're projecting how maybe, like, this is just an example, but if parents talk to you that way as a child, right? Now you're projecting that fear of a reaction onto all other people in your life as an adult, where you're now scared of how other people are going to react to a mistake that you made, because as a child you learned that a mistake is like a punishment or punishable, right? Which is necessarily not even the case. Like, people around you, they would probably find it good if you admitted to a mistake, right? But they're not that one person that talked to you that way in the past. Past, Six of Cups, exactly. So the fear that comes up from admitting to something here, or facing a mistake, it might actually come from something way, way, way deeper that somebody has not actually looked at in a very long time. Okay, the Ace of Wands, yeah, the truth about taking action here. So anything else? Healing, this is for someone's healing. Okay, this is just for someone's healing. All right, I feel like Spirit wants to help someone heal through this. Okay, and there's something very important about everything that I just said. The Ace of Pentacles, losing something, not having something, a mistake, making a mistake where you lost an item, you didn't have an item. Yeah, the backpack. That's just an example, but something like that, where you lost something, you didn't have something. It was an accident, though, or it was a mistake. Okay. The Nine of Pentacles. Something about money here. The Five of Cups. Yeah, sadness, regret, and shame and guilt. And you're carrying this around. This person is carrying this around like baggage, okay, in the back of their mind. Four of Pentacles. And this core, I feel like the Four of Pentacles is the core memory that someone is holding on to, right? They're carrying it around with them. They're like, this is my memory, but it's in the back of my mind, locked away in a drawer, right? But every time that core memory gets triggered subconsciously, this person might get defensive, okay? Defensive to making mistakes or being accused of making a mistake, right? There must have been someone in this person's past that was very harsh on them for this. That's why I'm getting parents for some reason, okay? Like parents that expect someone to be perfect and never make mistakes, right? Justice. This has to do with healing, balance. The Ten of Swords. Ultimate betrayal, all right? Yeah, and something about being, I don't know if this is about being defensive. The Ten of Swords, Nine of Wands, is this about being defensive towards someone, or is this about always defending what you said? Yeah, like it's like if somebody knows that maybe they're wrong, but they keep defending their point even if they feel like it might be wrong. Yeah, it's giving me childhood again. It's like a helpless child in a way. Okay, I got to be honest. Like if someone comes home and says, "I don't have my backpack, I forgot it," and they're like, parents are like, "What? You're so dumb. How did you do this?" And the child then goes into a kind of a defense mode where they're like, no, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. You know, I just had this and that, and you know, it was this person's fault. Like they go in a defensive mode, right? Where they're trying to defend themselves because of the reaction from the other person. There's like, yeah, something about that is, it triggers fears in someone, like the fear of a reaction, the fear of humiliation even, okay? That could be especially true for like parents or peers that made someone feel humiliated for making mistakes, like something about humiliation, because I feel like that's where the shame comes in. Being put down and humiliated for something. A lack of understanding. Stabbed in the back. Somebody betraying someone. I feel like this is the second memory. I feel like this person has multiple memories here. And this has to do with stabbing someone in the back or betraying them in a way. A date. By meeting someone new, going on a date, planning a date. And a soulmate connection. I mean, that could be like some sort of infidelity maybe. Paradise. Happiness, expansion, joy. Yeah, somebody in their ego. Okay, this has to do with healing the inner child, I'm telling you. Healing the inner child. Okay, something about a child. Listening to ego. And I feel like whoever this person is, their ego is what protects the hurt inner child. Their ego is like the defense, okay? It protects them from what hurt them as a child. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I hope this message helps, okay? I hope it reaches whoever it's meant for, and that it brings healing to someone, okay? So until next time, guys, bye.